Welcome to a 1v1 on Kholodny Ferma Summer. This game is going to be PanzerKampfWagen versus Mr-Swagman. That made me chuckle just saying that out loud. PanzerKampfWagen playing as Oster. He will bring mechanized assault, Jaeger armor, and mobile defense. Mr-Swagman fielding industry, urban defense, which he had just selected on some third commander that no longer matters. Urban defense has been selected immediately. We definitely have seen that used on this map before, even in tournament level play. Paul used it against Jezelin during the finals of Starcross Cup 2. Looked like it might kind of be effective until Jezelin chose Scavenge Doctrine to counter and destroyed it with infiltration grenades, but and that game might not be the best example of it being used to good effect on this map, but we'll see what happens this game. Mr. Swagman going with a Tier 2 opening. Tier 2 opening. A little strange, actually. You almost want to go just conscript spam. Going Tier 2 costs fuel, a lot of fuel, 50 fuel, so it really delays the forward headquarters by a significant amount of time. Since it's 0 CPs, you want to build that as soon as you can. And it also gives you access to a light AT gun that you can utilize to pressure over Commander West trucks in place of a field gun. So I feel like that decision is a little odd, but it will of course make his Maxims very powerful when next to that forward HQ by the time he gets that constructed. But there's already going to be one, maybe even two command points in the bank by the time he gets that 60 fuel at his current income, since he has failed to take control of either fuel point. We've got conscripts making their way towards the north. Conscripts went straight for the church. I'm thinking we're going to see forward HQ right there in the church. And there are no Over Commander West trucks because his opponent is Oster. So urban defense also kind of struggles a little bit against Oster. The Oster can field a mortar. Once there's a mortar pounding away at your HQ, it's really just a matter of time before it gets taken down. So kind of a weird series of decisions by Mr. Swagman already. But that's not good either. Also not good. Cover going up by the future forward HQ right here. If they ever change forward HQ to only be buildable on your own territory, that's going to have a pretty dramatic impact on this map, because the church happens to be in this sector, which would be very difficult to take from the left side base. Have pretty dramatic impact on this map. I don't know. I don't really think that's ever going to happen. I'm just musing. Two squads are making their way across the top. Conscripts taking control of the strategic and fuel points. And Soviet player needs to start executing a little better. He needs to start stepping up his game a little bit, because this is definitely not a late game commander. If he makes any more early game mistakes, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Oster has total control of the south, unopposed. A bunch of sandbags being built here by this church, which he still can't even afford to turn into a forward HQ 5 minutes into the game, because he hasn't even taken one fuel point yet. Terrible map control. Terrible engagements. Meanwhile, PanzerKampfWagen has spread out, take control of the entire map. It's just fielded an MG42 up here towards the north. Grenadiers available to support. Should easily win an engagement against those two conscript squads. This squad of conscripts making its way to try and cut off this strategic point here, but the territory will not be disconnected because this strategic point is connected to the munitions, so
Under our control. We are bleeding, comrade! Engaged! We earned this territory!
squad slowly killing those conscripts, falling pretty low. They're not really in red cover. It looks like they're close to red cover, but I don't see the red cover symbol on any of them. Conscripts moving into short range to try and turn the engagement, and the Grenadiers will immediately retreat. So being very cognizant of his manpower, being very aware of, I forgot what I was saying. Thank you, Banana and Pajami, for your $5 donation. I will be sure to move your cast to the front of the line. Make sure you remind me in chat after this game, because I'm gonna gonna forget if you don't. So remind me in chat, move your replay to the front of the line. I will do that after this game. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, he was being very cognizant of his manpower. He saw an engagement he couldn't win and retreated immediately to avoid manpower bleed. He could have stuck around a little longer, but he knew the engagement wouldn't go in his favor, so he just retreated off the battlefield at exactly that moment. These two squads are going to retreat to safety. Conscripts making their way towards the munitions point. Get that under control.
We have an isolated sector. Taking fire! Conscripts, now you can use Molotovs to burn those bastards.
Conscripts oorahing up into short range on these grenadiers, trying to hunt down that sniper. Wow, look at the damage! Get out of the road! Run! Oh man, those conscripts were so close. That pre-patch, that was a dead sniper. Pre-patch, that is a dead sniper. He tried. That was close. Nice pickup right there, by the way. Molotov's in a totally separate engagement, trying to pressure that mortar into retreating. Thought that was a pretty bold attempt by Mr-Swagman. It's a shame it didn't work. And I still don't think we've seen the forward HQ constructed anywhere. He built a ton of cover around this and then never built it because his opponent fielded a mortar now, so I don't even know if fielding a forward HQ would even be a good idea at this point. He's trying to execute well in engagements. He's having a lot of trouble. He's had such bad map control that he can't punish his opponent for all this tier 1 stuff. 4 Grand Sniper, MG, Mortar. That is a massive manpower investment into tier 1 units. He probably shouldn't camp 3 squads of almost dead grenadiers in a burning house, though. That's just asking for it. I can't believe nothing got wiped. Oh, there goes one. Wow. That Molotov failed. Failed to murder the entire Ulster army. Fuel harassment here in the south is pointless. He's just taking manpower bleed to accomplish very little. His fuel income is barely effective. He has 28 coming in right now. That's huge fuel income. This harassment is not worth what he's already lost. Only battle phase 1. He hasn't even built a tier 2 structure yet. If a T-70 were fielded, well, he can't make a T-70 because he has terrible map control. So really, no reason not to stay at tier 1 this long if you have this much of a map advantage. Try and capitalize on that and press your advantage. Medic bunker going up here in the Oster base now. Lots of munitions in the bank. No commander selection yet either. Still has plenty of options. Lots of late game options. He can afford 4 LMGs easily, in addition to his medic station. Probably also a flamethrower and some teller mines. He has so much munitions in the bank. I don't know why he hasn't spent it. I guess he doesn't feel the need to spend munitions right now, considering he's shutting his opponent down so hard, left and right.
Our territory is falling into enemy hands.
And there it is. The 10-minute forward HQ. My god, that is just so late. That is so late. And it delays any possibility of him getting a vehicle by a lot. That is like, you should have a T-70 on the field 3 minutes ago. Not be getting your forward HQ. This is going to be not even that useful, frankly. I don't know. I mean, he's going to be able to defend this munitions point, I guess. There's a machine gun just casually capping the fuel point right behind him. He should probably go do something about that, although I do respect his diligent construction of defenses.
Vehicle detection now available. AT gun is ready for combat. That took too
along, comrades. Next time we must be faster. There are no cowards here.
Couple squads making their way, take control of the fuel.
M42 anti-tank guns are ready to deploy.
When you have strong Soviet backs.
Combat engineers doing some harassment here in the south. Four squad Grenblob there will counter any harassment attempts. Meanwhile, here in the north, MG42 should not have gotten in that shed. There's no south-facing window.
Mortar team has arrived.
He should crawl south, not that way, back into the arc of fire. Alright, apparently getting in that shed was fine. Thank you, Rookie, for your $5 donation. I have no idea if you submitted a replay. If you did, make sure to send me a reminder after the game. I will move it to the front. Light anti-tank gun firing on this shed now. Machine gun just slowly burning to death inside of that tiny shed. It looks like it's gonna die. If it doesn't die to the Molotov, it'll probably die to the 4 support dudes. Panzer Grenadiers are on the field. A lot of munitions upgrades have been purchased, but he still has such incredible map control that he hasn't even barely put a dent in his munitions. He has another 220 to spend. So much for that sniper. He never even healed it up, I don't think. I don't even know if it got any kills this game. I think that was a 0-kill Ulster sniper, even post-patch. Not very carefully microed. Mortar is now pounding away at the forward HQ right there. Panzer Grenadiers providing vision. There, and then red cover, though. They're going to take a lot of damage. They're going to toss a bundle grenade. Oh, my God! Oh! Whoa! Look at that! They survived! Wow! I can't believe how little damage she took. Manpower damage. I thought that was going to be, like, bodies everywhere. Wow! I can't believe that. Look at that. I've never seen a grenade come so close and do so little bleed. That is amusing. Oster mortar needs to barrage the building itself rather than the troops around it. Seems to be just out of range. Maybe he can't quite get it. No, he's got plenty of room to work with. He could move into a more aggressive location, but he needs to screen it with infantry. Currently, all of his grenadiers are just hanging out in the south. No counter-harassment to do, though, since the Soviet player is focusing purely on his forward HQ and center. Just looks like, I guess, from this point forward, his plan is just to hold the 2 victory points until the end of the game, which is going to take, with 462 VPs left, a pretty long time. That's, he's in for about a good 45 to 50 minute game, if he can just hold on to these 2 victory points. And we do have mechanized assault chosen. Pretty decent chance of a Stug E, maybe? I mean, with this much fuel, honestly, just go tier 3 or tier 4. You don't even need to stall for Tigers. Just tech up and shut your opponent down. Get a little more aggressive. He's already got late game quantities of fuel. And he is going to tech up. A little late. I mean, I would do it probably earlier than 300 fuel in the bank, but better late than never.
Incendiary artillery barrage ready to fire.
His mortar gets decrewed by a Soviet mortar there. Molotov flushes grenadiers out. What are they doing? What are they doing? Oh my God, the carnage! Oh, the carnage! That Molotov! That incendiary artillery was really not necessary, but I mean, I guess he forced a retreat, denying the Oster. He's cut off for a little while, actually, so some value there, and I feel like a lot of Oster units are just dying for no reason. That sniper just like walked with no health into a squad of conscripts and died before he ever fired a shot. Full squad of grenadiers just melted in a Molotov that they walked into. There goes a flamethrower Pio squad, just a conscripts at medium range and red cover.
We are losing
So suddenly the Ulster's huge dominating lead is just gone in the blink of an eye because he just decided to throw half of his army away, which means that maybe Mr. Swagman has a chance this game. I don't know. Now things are looking pretty good. Ulster cutoff is going to be restored here in the south. He needs to recrew that mortar as well. Mortar, just one more wipe. One more wipe the Ulster is now being forced to deal with. Does still have 300 fuel in the bank. He's gone battle phase 2. If he starts saving a little manpower, engages a little bit less lethally, and gets tier 3 up, he can of course try and get a Panzer IV out and put a little more serious pressure on his opponent. Or he could field a Stug E. I kind of was expecting that when I saw mechanized assault pick. Didn't field one. His opponent has almost no anti-tank at all, except for the M42, which probably does a little pressure to a Stug E. Stug E probably more likely to kill this in a slugfest though. Like, a lot more likely. Depending on shot blockers, maybe. And AT grenades. And mines. Mr. Swagman has 135 munitions. He's been throwing Molotovs. He's been using incendiary artillery, but I don't see any mines or demos. So, something he might keep in mind. Spending a little bit of his extra manpower on these 2 fuel caches here in the north. Probably feels quite confident that he can defend those from this forward headquarters position. He's got his mortar working on various stuff from its position there by the center. The Ulster still has not recovered his own mortar, which is why this forward headquarters still stands. But that being said, not much of an attempt has really been made by the Axis to destroy this, so maybe that's not really where his priorities lie at this time. He's going to start playing a little bit more defensively, I guess, setting up an anti-tank gun here in the road. MG42 supporting. Probably shouldn't set up in red cover, though. Ulster cannot. They're the only faction that cannot build their own cover. Only faction that cannot build their own cover, so they really have to make use of the terrain at their disposal. And this is not really doing that. This is pretty much the opposite of that. There it is, tier 3 being constructed with 350 fuel in the bank. Seriously, I would just go straight for tier 4. Get a broom bear on the field, start blasting all this stuff. Get a Panther out, maybe. I mean, that is a 20-minute Soviet tier 3. That is a late-ass Soviet tier 3. What's that going to do to a Panther?
Anti-tank mine set to go.
Nothing. T-34 in production. The very first tank on the field is going to be a 19-minute T-34. That is something. I still am not sure why we haven't seen the Stug E. Just now hitting the manpower, he needs to field that, should he choose to do so. But the window of opportunity it had is now long closed, and he had a huge window of opportunity, by the way. If your opponent has had such bad map control that they can't even get a T-34 until the 20-minute mark, you probably could have won long ago. With Stug E's, no problem. I mean, it's 400 fuel in the bank. He needs to spend it on something. What's even the point of fighting for map control if you don't reap the rewards?
The sector is at risk. Engineers have secured the sector.
This is kind of a close quarters engagement. Looks like it's going to the Soviets. Maybe. I don't know. Okay, no. Not quite. A lot of manpower bleed. Ooh, booby trap right there. I like that. From the that's a doctrinal booby trap. And I don't know if that can be defused or not. I think that we figured out that Oberkommando West booby traps. Oh god, this could be devastating. Oh, okay, that wasn't that bad. One squad wiped. He should be able to recover both weapons, so not the end of the world. Church goes down, wiping something inside maybe? I don't know. Ulster's kind of low on manpower now. Only 4 units remaining. 4 units remaining. barely makes it around the corner. Turret rotation will save that squad. Maybe? Maybe? Yes, they will get away. Oster just gonna go straight to Tiger. I really don't like this whole stalling for Collins with 400 fuel thing. Actually, I guess that's inaccurate. He built tier 3, he just didn't make any units out of it. Which is, that's just inefficient. I mean, if you're gonna go straight to Tiger, at least fully commit. Make up your mind, PanzerKampfWagen. So ambivalent. There is a field gun on the battlefield here. So Soviet player has prepared for the Tiger's arrival. Anti-tank grenade will penetrate and damage the Tiger's engine. Most things bouncing or missing, however, and Tiger should be able to pull back for repairs, largely unharmed. And because he has lost such an atrocious amount of manpower, he can't even afford pyos. Sent his Tiger in without any pyos on the field for repairs. Now he's just going to be driving a damaged engine Tiger around, I guess, although it's already up to 12 kills in his very first engagement, so it's certainly making a dramatic entrance. A mortar lands on the Tiger. That's one way to take it out, I guess. Slowly, but surely. Well, not surely, but slowly. One of those two adjectives is true. Actually, I guess they're adverbs. I don't know why I've got grammar on the brain. I made a post on code2.org about vehicle death crits and plane crashes that made me think very carefully about my grammar. If any of you read it, you know what I'm talking about. It's not a Romeo stream if my headphones don't die. There, I met my quota. Mission accomplished. Thank you, Vladislavs. I absolutely will. Thank you for your very generous donation. Tiger makes his way to the front lines, and there it goes. Forward headquarters has been destroyed. Soviet player has a huge army to work with, though. 2 field guns, an M42, I guess, and a T-34 to block and try and get shots on the rear armor. And
This now belongs to the people and workers of the Soviet Union.
that T-34 is going to pull back. I really feel it's just a matter of time before that Tiger is dead. Damaged engine, 2 field guns trying to hunt it down. Tiger moving up aggressively here. Well, that's a little rude. I mean, that's one way of saying GG, well played, I guess. That's the game. Playback over. GG, Allies win. I would say that this game is a textbook example of how not to play urban defense. But more importantly, it's also a textbook example of how to throw a game completely down the drain in the space of about 2 minutes. So I'm impressed by both of these players' abilities to make me chuckle. But I think that there's a lot of areas for improvement for both of these players for sure, especially since the Oster player should have teched up. Should have teched up so much earlier. And I think he probably could have utilized some of his other doctrinal features as well. Either tech up or field stug. Either one. He could have had a huge advantage. Good game. Allies win.